Hey, what's up? Welcome back, everybody, to a special 200th episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows. We typically feature a beer of the week. Now, like I said, this is episode 200. It's a special one. We've been around for a while. It's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy to think about where we've come. So we have a couple of guests that are going to join us for a very important piece of 2023 because without them, we wouldn't have read half the comic books that we got to read this year. So of course, Ken and Tom, you know them from the ODPH and Off the Cuff Tom, and also Nerd Initiative's Turn a Page. They are going to be joining us here in just a moment to talk about our favorite comic books of 2023. First things first, social media, right? Follow us everywhere, anywhere, Hops Geek News. That's where we're at. Find us podcasting platform, same. If you've just stumbled upon this, that's where you can find us. And then always, we'll be at MegaCon. We're going to be at MegaCon in a month. Come find us. We're going to be running around there. We're going to possibly go to Epcot. We're going to do all sorts of crazy things, see some cool guests, see some old friends, see some new friends. So make sure you find us there. And my beer personally of the week, it's episode 200. We're talking comic books, right? Had to go with Rock Solid, a hazy double IPA with Citra hops from Mason Aleworks' Immortal series. And if you are watching on YouTube, it's got the thing on the front. It's a pretty rad can. We've drank them before because we had our Weapon X. Yes, but you know, if we're going to be talking about comic books, man, of course, you got to go ahead and do that. Lauren, you're drinking the same thing, right?
Yeah, this is yummy. They've been killing the IPAs and the artwork. I got a couple Santa Claus, or I got a Santa one that was really good and amazing label.
Oh, I like that one. You did send that picture. Yes.
But I also have one in my fridge called Murky Mouse. So I'm going to have to, we might need to do a Disney episode soon.
We might. We're always due for a good Disney episode. This is obviously out of San Diego, California. That's where you can find Mason Aleworks. The art is by Billy Daggers. You can search him at Billy Daggers. And like I said, without the two gentlemen I'm about to introduce, however, we'll let them introduce themselves. We would not have read half the comic book. So, Ken, we'll start with you. Welcome to the show. Go ahead and introduce yourself. And hey, thanks for bringing us along with the Nerd Initiative team this year.
Well, first and foremost, my name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH Podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, and I'm also Nerd Initiative's comics editor-in-chief. To my left, your right, I just let him do his intro right here.
Hi, I'm Tom.
I was going to say I saw him open a beer, but I didn't hear it.
I didn't either.
Coming at you live and direct, straight from a folding chair in the ODPH studio. So happy to be here 200 times more powerful than you are. It is Off the Cuff Tom, your pop culture connoisseur. And this evening, I am drinking the best of the best, Keystone Light.
Tom brought out the high quality beverage for this episode. And before I show my beverage, obviously, I just want to say thank you to you both. Obviously, you are a very big part of what we're doing at Nerd Initiative Comics. The bullpen is taking over as far as New Comic Book Day goes. It is becoming your one-stop place to go before you hit the LCS, and you two are a very big part of what we're doing along with the rest of the team. So shout out to everybody in the bullpen. And if everybody thought 2023 was a big year, just wait till 2024.
Oof.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. So for anybody who doesn't know, first of all, Ken has been a friend of the show since pretty much the inception, as we've always linked back and forth on Twitter. But this is the first time that he has ever actually been on the show, surprisingly enough. And every Tuesday night, the three of us and sometimes even four of us and get together. We do Turn a Page where we talk strict comic books. That's kind of a newer thing we've done. And then we also do Nerd Initiative, which feels like it's been going on a lot longer than it actually has, because I think we've only really been doing our bullpen since the summertime. I think it's like,
I started, I think in August, right after my birthday trip.
Yeah. It was like July is when we started.
Yeah, but July is the official birth date of it. And then Lauren came in a couple weeks after. We got the initial start to it. And then Tom has been with us now officially since October. And we have added
2 weeks early.
Yes. We'll just say, as we do on the ODPH, reasons. So since that point, but yeah, and just what we've done in 6 months. I mean, to put into perspective, and not to say like, oh, look at us and self high five, but it's been something that we've kind of given a lot of comic fans the blueprint that if you're a big fan and you want to put the work in and really get your name out there, we've been doing it now, and we've grown every single month since we've done this. And it's really gotten to a point that we're now a place that you're seeing the name pop up in trade paperbacks as far as for quotes. You're seeing a lot of creators reaching out to swing through, and it's just growing and growing. And there's something that happened today that we can't talk about really on air per se, but congratulations to the team about another big win that you'll be seeing pop up next week as we record this. So Merry Christmas to all. You're getting a special gift on Tuesdays. Stay tuned.
Yes. ...
So I will say what I've loved about joining the team is this is something Matt and I have been wanting to do on our own for a while, and we just haven't had necessarily the framework or the consistency to do it, especially because we're connected with Hops News. So we've always had that website. And so this is like, I've committed. I know I'm going to get at least one comic book a week. So I'm definitely doing it. I'm making the time. And so I love that it's kind of, made us be responsible and made us be consistent, because that's honestly how you grow, is consistency.
And real quick, before Ken does introduce his beverage, I want to shout out something real quick, because this is coming out January 1st. New year, new us.
Wow.
But there's something very important if you're listening to this January 1st or January 2nd. The Cheersies. The Cheersies Awards will be announced live on the Nerd Initiative YouTube network, and it's probably going to broadcast over all of our individual social medias as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's the biggest event to wrap up 2023, put a bow on it, and really congratulate every single creator that put in some serious hard work. Man, so this, at the time, we have a day before it wraps up, and we've gotten over 1,000 votes, which is by far the most in the Cheersies history. We've gotten multiple categories that are coming down to the wire. They're separated by just mere votes. It has been astonishing, the reception. We've had companies write in some things. We've had them pushing it out for us. And so 8 p.m. Eastern on the Nerd Initiative Network, you're going to see us giving out those and announcing those awards, which is something that's really special and really big. So make sure you tune in for that. First, come on, tune in for that.
Are we wearing our tuxedo shirts?
I think I'm going to. You got to get a little dressed up once in a while.
Okay.
I might not be able to, because I will be literally running into the studio that day, but we'll see about what we can do for that. But yeah, no, the Cheersies, the best thing about it is it's all fan voted, and seeing a lot of the write-ins come in, and especially with one category too, that it really made a difference. And then that creator is now in the running to win a Cheersy, and also for issue of the year is now in the running. Like, there's been such a fan vote movement going on down the final stretch. It's amazing to see. I'm loving seeing the companies reach out and promote this, and a lot of the creators are getting behind this too. And it's just, it's a reflection of, like, they are putting in all the hard work, and the fans are receptive to it, and they're making their voice heard, and it's unlimited voting. So it's old school TRL style, and that's the best thing about it, because if you really feel that passionate about it, you want to get your voice out there every single day, and really just be a fan about it, because that's all it is, a celebration of fandom.
100%. 100%. So make sure to tune in for that. It's going to be awesome. And now, Ken, what do you got? What are you drinking?
Well, see, I really don't partake in the beverages like you do, but I did whip out the Yingling glass or a nice cola from a local station that provides fuel for my car. So I definitely just wanted to bring out my classic Yingling. If I ever do, I do drink Yingling, but I don't do it that often anymore.
It's a solid lager.
Yeah,
it's what I really kind of
what I grew up drinking. Actually,
yeah, same honestly, here. To be honest,
vitamin Y, man.
Yep, but
that's
it's something
fancy.
Yeah, like I love this glass, so like I bring it on certain special occasions. One thing we'll have to do after the Cheersies too, we'll have to talk to the powers that be at Nerd Initiative. We need some glasses.
As
we need like an official Hops Geeks,
my
like,
Hops Geek glass, the last one in like existence, because we only made a few.
And I shattered mine while
Lauren
recording.
Brokers. I was like, we should get some. We should get some pint glasses, whether it's Nerd Initiative or whatever it is, and expansion, if you will, because I always love a good glass.
I have so many glasses.
Same here.
You never have enough glasses.
No, you don't, unless you're my wife, in which we have too many.
I was going to say, don't tell my husband.
Don't tell our spouses. But seriously, folks, let's get to the meat and potatoes, if you will. So we are going to talk about our favorite comic books. So the way we kind of are going to do it is we have publishers such as like DC, Marvel, Image, Boom, Dark Horse, IDW Publishing, Comixology, some special shout outs and some indie ones. And we're all just going to talk about, rather than list our favorites, because we could be here literally for days, we're just going to pick our number one favorite that we had to choose above all, and give like,
we're doing a
mini
draft,
award.
right? Because you told me I had to have more than one option just in case.
I wanted to do a draft, but then I thought it got confusing.
Okay.
Only like the three of us have played like fantasy football and stuff. And I was like, you know what? We'll just make it simple. We'll pick.
I was
just
ready
our
to
favorite.
draft. I even
We'll
read a
just pick our
specific second DC comic this morning, just in case somebody
She's read
else
two
took
DC
City of
comics
Madness.
all year. No, we can just pick our favorite.
Read a lot
It's
of
all
Marvel.
good. We can pick our all favorite. If it's the same, it's the same. But we just want to celebrate the year of 2023, and especially shout out the ones that made us just really get excited. So I want to start with Tom. I'm gonna let you go ahead. Let's pick. You know what? We'll start, because I know for you, I can pretty much guess what this one is. But let's start with Boom. What was your favorite?
It's all Power Rangers.
Yes. I knew it. I wanted to lead you off because I knew it was going to be Power Rangers, and I gotta say they had a heck of a year.
Oh
for
my
Power
God,
Rangers.
did they have a year? My God, did they have a year? Everything from Ryan Parrott leaving to Missy Flores taking over the mantle, the unlimited runs, the everything in between. I could talk Power Rangers all day. We've talked Power Rangers, as a matter of fact, on Turn Page once or twice. I've said it before, and if I could take 2 seconds, a lot of people know me as a Power Ranger guy, and if you don't follow me on the socials, I mentioned that this year is the 30th anniversary, and these opportunities that I've been able to get to be able to talk to folks with, comic books and pop culture, and the people that I've interviewed has all been attributed to Power Rangers. So they are nearest and dearest to me, and yeah, it's always going to be Power Rangers #1 in my book.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Power
It's 30
Rangers
years. Because I remember coming home from school, sitting next to my brother and watching Power Rangers.
Oh, Amy Jo, the whole crew. And man, honestly too, is that Darkest Hour event that they have kicking off right now, that's been really solid.
I am so angry. Like, I understand that Missy's busy doing, the Lucky and everything over, with the Massive Verse and with those guys. But I'm very, very bitter because of the fact that we're getting one book a month right now from her run. Okay, from her run specifically, because we got spoiled as heck when we were running with Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers as two separate runs. And now it's that slow burn. I'm like, give me the next freaking issue.
Well, but that's the whole thing about with how they had it set up with Boom, because you have to remember Ryan was doing both books at one point.
Yep.
And then Matt Groom came in too. We all know him from Inferno Go Red, amongst many others.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Missy took over, she really slowed the pace down. And I think that did a great service, because if you're coming in after Ryan Parrott's run, and obviously Ryan, for writing the series as long as he did, 6 years, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Melissa came in and slowed it down, that if you're a new reader, you could jump in and you can really take your time getting the vibe, everything going on with Simone D. Gianfelice on the artwork, Simone.
Oh, yeah.
Like I say, and it was just such, a cool vibe that going right out the gate, you have that final panel where Zed's lying unconscious, and you have Mistress Vile, as we know, the former Rita Repulsa, standing on top. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, you want to make a statement out of the gate, you did it right there.
Oh, yeah.
And then just to go and just do like the slow burn, it works. And that's why I think everybody's really getting into this series. And especially, it's one of the best comics out there, not just even pop culture. Like, it's one of the best comics, period, every month.
And we've got also following up with that, we've got the Ranger Academy, which I was very skeptical getting into because it is not necessarily canon. They're adding to it. So, I'm a little bit of a gatekeeper when it came to that, but 3 issues in already, I'm getting it. There's some good pacing in there. And then I know we got an Unlimited coming up soon.
Yep.
The Morphin Masters. So I'm interested to see how that's going to tie in, because all the Unlimited lines run parallel to the story that's going on right now. And I just wish they would stop naming every single Unlimited #1.
That's very true.
We got to do it for sales. We understand.
Well, yeah, #1s are hot. But yeah, I mean, especially with the Amy Jo run coming up, man, like gonna be big year for Power Rangers for 2024. I'm with you.
Mhm.
I didn't choose Boom, but before we get to our choices, Ken, what do you got?
For Boom, this is one of my favorite books. Every time it comes out, I've said this publicly. I've said this to the author when I had the pleasure of talking with her about this book. It's grim. It is
Mm.
a book that is not just a story. It's a vibe. It's an energy. I always kind of relate it to, it's like the Ocean's 11 of comics because it's done in such a way with Flaviano and Enrico Renzi on the art and the amazing lettering of Tom Napolitano, who I don't think gets enough credit for what he does in this series. And especially like it's just such a different feel when you read it. And obviously written by the one and only Stephanie Phillips. It goes into a lot of different directions. And it's just such a very interesting story about a Reaper who has a screw up at the job and unlocks a mystery and just how it spirals from there. And the first arc is amazing. The second arc has been very cool. Now heading in the third one, it really has ramped up a lot of moving parts that you watch it or you read it, I should say, like it feels like watching for a movie for me because it's done in such a visual presentation that it just stands out and it doesn't feel like a normal comic. And that's why I say like it's a vibe, like it's just cool. And that's where I kind of make like it's the Ocean's 11 thing. It's just it's a different thing than you'll see anywhere else at the comic shop. And I think when you have that kind of creativity and such a presentation from top to bottom, like the creative team is one of the best ever put together. It just really sells itself. And like I could just sing about this all day. I know the omnibus is coming out very soon. I am definitely investing in it, and it's just so punk rock DIY. It's one of my favorite series of all time.
I've had issue 1 on my to read shelf since it came out, and so now I guess I have to just buy the omnibus and just dive full on in.
Stephanie Phillips, so she's going to be coming on the show here in January, and man, she is. If we have to name a creator who's having a hell of a back half of 2023, especially
with Capwolf,
she's writing that. She's got Grimm. She's also just recently now she's gonna be writing Spider-Gwen, and it's everything
I'm going to.
Yes, it is. Everything she has been touching lately has been just absolute gold. She's got the Midas touch. And if you haven't read Stephanie Phillips yet, I cannot tell you guys how badly it doesn't matter what comic it is. If you find her name on it, it's going to be good. So make sure you pick it up. But more importantly, like Ken said, Grimm has been phenomenal. Phenomenal story. Yes.
Well, my comic book guy put it in my box, like assuming I would like it, and then I never got around to reading it. I just, you know how it is.
I hope he's not listening right now, Lauren.
Stack of comics. Oh, I just spent $60 there today. It's fine.
I will say this: if you're not hooked by the end of issue 1, I don't know what else you're looking for in a comic, because this is just a general statement to anybody. Just the little things they do, and I'll even say, Lauren, when you read this, when you see Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult appear, tell me that's not going to be one of the coolest scenes you've seen in a comic. That's all I'm going to say about it for a spoiler, and I didn't even give anything away. But let me know after you see that panel and just the reaction, just like the creativity it's done with it.
Gotcha. I mean, that's a great song, and with a Reaper, even better. I mean, we've talked Supernatural a little bit, which if Matt ever starts watching it again, Ken will come back on to talk Supernatural.
Because it's been the holidays, all right? I haven't been watching the holiday movies.
There's a Christmas special.
There's a Christmas one.
There's one. I know. I've seen it.
That's true.
I'm gonna get back. Don't worry. So, Lauren, what do you have from Boom?
I haven't read too much Boom this year. So the one that I picked is actually one I talked about a couple weeks ago. It was the one and done one that was the Christmas special, the Stuff of Nightmares sleigh ride. I just thought it was a lot of fun. It was festive. It was, it was funny, and it was a horror, and just it was fun. That's all. I mean, I talked about it. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit more detail a couple weeks ago. But I mean, I've loved R.L. Stine since I was 8, since I could read.
Yeah.
Does it still give you goosebumps?
Every time. Oh. Probably because it's like 40 degrees outside down here in Florida. That's probably more so why, but
Oh no.
She's dying, folks. Somebody think of the poor Floridians. Meanwhile.
Seriously, who do I complain to? I'm so sick of this crap. It has been a cold, wet fall.
As I like it.
40 degrees is like spring up here. So
Yeah,
it's
no
31, feels like 27, and I still have a hoodie on.
It's actually 61. I just
hoodie
looked
and
it up.
shorts. Hoodie and shorts always for this guy. You know,
We have the heater on.
I'm gonna go ahead for Boom, and this one's a very popular comic book. It's by James Tynion IV and Werther Dell'Edera. It's Something Is Killing the Children, man. It's one that I have raved openly about as well. And man, I got into the game late. I didn't read it right away. It was one of those like, oh, I'm gonna read. And you know, there's gonna be a Netflix show, and I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna read it. And then we started doing the bullpen, and I was like, all right, now's the time to catch up. Then I can start talking about it. And so I caught up in like a flash. And my God, it's got everything. It's action. It's got, you know, the really
Mystery.
good horror. Yeah, mystery. It's got horror elements, but it's got like that Japanese anime style vibes going for it. And it's got just everything I love in a comic book. And so hands down for me, that one is Something Is Killing the Children. And they just finished up a really big arc. So recommend reading that. And then they have actually coming out next week, House of Butcher is dropping. And they just wrapped up House of Slaughter. So lots of good spinoffs.
Yeah, the one thing that they do very well, I think James Tynion is the master of slow burn drama.
Yeah.
Because every arc that they do for Something Is Killing the Children is slow burn. And the payoffs are just so emotional that without giving anything away, the most recent one, I like absolutely blew me away. And I've had the fortune and pleasure of reading these for like a while. Like I'm like Matt, like I came into the game late. I'm catching back up, and I'm just like, every time I was hearing about this was winning awards, I was like, okay, this is pretty good. After reading it, I'm like, yeah, there's no way this shouldn't win. And even what they're doing now with the spin-off books too. House of Slaughter is anthology style. It focuses on one character, and the creative teams that come in there really do fantastic work. The first arc absolutely blew me away, and that's been like the pace setter for everything else. And it's just such a unique stories they're telling there. And then especially their spin-off stuff they have. Book of Butcher, Book of Slaughter. You know, like they have so much in the works too that when this finally hits Netflix, this is going to be a monster, no pun intended. That I truly feel this is going to be like the new Walking Dead.
Is this coming to Netflix? Do they have a deal?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
they do.
Oh wow!
Deal
I'm only
like
3
February,
volumes in. My comic book shop I went to 3 shops and couldn't find volume 4, and so finally had to order it. But it's been I didn't know they were doing a Netflix series. That's going to be amazing.
It got announced right before the strike happened.
Oh.
So it went away. Like it was like a week or 2 before, and then it was like, boom, gone.
Yeah, it was announced briefly. They haven't announced any casting obviously yet, but I'm sure that's going to be ramping up here soon.
Yeah, I didn't start till September, and it was because Matt told me to.
You know,
it's so good.
Had to do it.
I listen.
Let's roll into one that Lauren's been getting a lot of love from lately. Let's roll into Dark Horse, and I'll kind of kick us here with Dark Horse. And my favorite comics from them has been the Star Wars hyperspace stories. And the reason why I love those so much is just it gives me a classic, good old, like, it's a space adventure. It's a space opera. And this whole entire run of Star Wars hyperspace stories has just been that kind of old throwback to Star Wars again, where you're just following different characters, and it's just a fun adventure. There's nothing overly serious, and it doesn't take itself overly seriously. And that's the kind of the heart of Star Wars to me. And that's what really brought back the heart of Star Wars. And so I've been really enjoying the hyperspace stories. Lauren, I'll throw this one to you. Dark Horse. Like I said, you've been getting a lot of love for them lately. What's your favorite? I'm very interested to hear.
So part of me wanted to pick Quick Stops just because I love Kevin Smith so much. And I
was going to pick that too. And it was such a homer pick because
because it just came out. And it's funny. I did do the review for it, and I went to the comic shop today, and lo and behold, I knew it was going to be in my box because I bought the first volume, and I still bought it because I freaking love Kevin Smith. And I don't want to pick that one though, because it just started. So I feel like that's going to be more 2024. So I'm going to pick one that fully came out in 2023 that I have been reviewing and that I have loved. And it's a book I wouldn't have picked up if I hadn't been given it through Nerd Initiative. And I'm so glad that I read it. And that is The Alternates. It is a Patton Oswalt book, funny enough. And it is just such unique perspectives and such unique takes on superheroes. and they're called the Alternates for more than one reason. And it's a spinoff from the comic Minor Threats, which like I read the Alternates, and it was one of those, okay, you can enjoy this story by itself, but it's based on another story. And I immediately read the comic, and before I wrote the review, I messaged my comic shop on Instagram and was like, hey, do you have Minor Threats? And they're like, yeah, we have one left. And I'm like, perfect, put it in my box. And so I went up there that day, picked it up, read the whole thing, and then wrote the review for the Alternates. So I was instantly like, I want more on this world, because it's, everybody's talking about superhero fatigue. And obviously I don't have superhero fatigue. If you've listened to this podcast, you know that. I'll take whatever I can get to an extent. Batman versus Superman, we don't need any more of those. But
that was like
that's my last jab for the year. But it's superpowers you haven't really seen, and it's a story you haven't seen, or at least I hadn't seen. And so I've just really been loving it. And they just wrapped up this short run, but it looks like they're going to keep going, because the way they ended it, sure, you can wrap it up, but they also opened a whole other box in wrapping it up. So the Alternates, that one I recommend.
Solid. Ken.
Great series. And Lauren has been crushing it on the reviews if you haven't checked it out.
Yeah.
And the art has been phenomenal.
She really has. She really has. And like I said, I had to shout them out because they've been appreciative, really feels like. And every time we look at Dark Horse, they've shared one of her reviews, and it's just like, dang, that's what I'm talking about. So it's always good to see when the homies win. Ken, what do you got from Dark Horse on your list?
Man, see, I'm kind of debating a couple things, because there's a couple series that have come out from Comixology Originals that have shown up via print to Dark Horse. So I figured I would go, when we start talking Comixology, I'll kind of go into that run with it. So I definitely want to shout out a book that just came out, and this is going to be something huge. Brian Michael Bendis, Alex Malevich, you know them from their run on Daredevil from a few years back. They've done Scarlet. They have a book out called Masterpiece. Just came out, and it's a really interesting story about a 16-year-old girl who is now been caught up in the secret life of her parents, that somebody that they ripped off has now come looking for her as a way of revenge, so to speak. And just how Bendis and Malevich go into this like really interesting story. It's very layered, it's very detailed, off one issue. I really think that that's going to be something big. So that was one of my favorite series, but I agree with Lauren. Like, everything they've done with the Alternates has been absolutely crazy too. So I have to say, if I have to choose one, I'll go with the Alternates right now, but I'm going to say don't miss Masterpiece as that's getting rolling.
Okay. Solid. I haven't personally read that one yet. And I'm not well versed, I guess, in Comixology Originals specifically. So I'm gonna have to pick some of those up. Tom, what you got?
So unfortunately, Dark Horse does not come across my desk. It's just because I'm so busy. But I did take the time, and I'm going to say, just from looking at the catalog of everything that came out this past year, something I'm really looking forward to maybe getting back into with the holiday lull. I see that there's some Masters of the Universe in there. And since right now I'm dying here because like Revelation on Netflix, and even the cheesy, overly buff CGI series was cute and adorable and fun, and I liked it. I don't care what you say. I would really like to go backtrack and go through and see what's up with what Dark Horse is putting out in the Masters of the Universe right now.
It's a great picks.
That's a really solid pick, especially it seems to me like lately there's a rise again of Masters of the Universe. We went through like the 2000s period where there really wasn't a whole lot. Kevin Smith brought back his series.
Bite your tongue. I love that.
I heard was pretty good.
Series.
Well, no, I'm saying like as like people who grew up with them, we've loved them, but like there was that lull where they just didn't introduce any new no.
I wasn't allowed to watch She-Ra, so I never got into any of it.
What?
I don't know why. I need to ask my mom, but she probably won't even remember why.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
She probably won't remember why. You're right.
No, she doesn't remember when we make plans these days. She drinks too much.
But yeah, no. So I do like to see that kind of come back to form now. Let's jump on over. You know what? Let's dive into some Comixology, and that's a good segue. And Ken, I want to start with you because you had some good ones from Comixology. I know you're big on them as a whole, so I'm very interested to see what yours was.
Man,
I think we're probably gonna have the same one.
No, I'll go with a different one. Oh, actually, let me do this. Let me defer to Tom because I have a couple I could go into. But if Tom has one lined up, I'm going to let him go first.
I mean, it just came in by a thread.
Okay, I can go with a different one. But
Okay,
yes, but
yeah.
that is in there. But you go right ahead.
I mean, by a thread is just so gorgeous, especially having Scott Snyder and his son working on this project together. And for us having the opportunity this past Comic-Con just makes it all the more special to us to be right there at that time with everything going on. It's just it's right there. It really is. I can't speak enough to it. And the fact that we were getting more creator owned IPs out there and they're not beholden to, the norms. They can write their own damn book. And I mean, how impressive is that? Kid's 17 years old. He gets put on his college resume. $1 million. And,
yeah, right.
Yeah. No, if you haven't read By a Thread, Scott and Jack Snyder are doing this really interesting story. Kind of reminds me a little bit like like a little fantasy, a little RPG style, a little bit of like anime too, with Valerie Fococci. I apologize if I messed up their name. The artwork is absolutely brilliant.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So that being said, it's only got 2 issues out. It's going to be up there for best series of the year for next year for 2024, hands down. Because I believe it's going 5 issues. And it's really been something it has so many different elements going on. Like I could sit there and just buzz about it all day. And I'm really interested to see where the story's going, especially you can definitely, one thing that I will say with Scott Snyder's run, especially with Best Jacket Press, with Comixology Originals, you can tell how much fun he's having writing.
Yeah.
Like it comes off as a reader, like you can definitely tell, like, oh, he's really enjoying this, and it's just, and everybody we get the chance to talk to about it, the creators, and they're all saying the same thing too. Like this is just such a labor of love to do, especially creator owned, and they can really go some places with it, and especially with the line they have with Best Jacket Press alone, but with Comixology too, they are really going some places, and it's really fun as a reader to go check that out.
Oh, for sure. I haven't read that one yet, but my pick would actually be a Scott Snyder book as well, because he's my favorite writer of all time. And, I'm very open about that. And I actually really enjoyed his Night of the Ghoul that kind of came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a sucker for horror, in the way that this one kind of like was just very dark mystery horror aspects, and the art was very kind of a rustic feel and added to that horror element to me. That's why, again, you can tell he's having fun again. Not that he ever maybe wasn't, but the fact that he's kind of creating things that are just off the wall, or he's getting to play in his own backyard, so to speak. It just bleeds through the pages.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And so yeah, it's, if you haven't picked up any of these, like Scott Snyder, again, he's one of those creators.
My image is Scott Snyder.
Ooh, all right. Do you play Comixology, Lauren?
I've only read one Comixology this year, and that was actually for Nerd Initiative, and it was a longer one. It was a graphic novel called Boxed, and that's again, obviously every comic we've read this year, we've probably talked about on this podcast, anyways. But that one was the one that was all about. It was a lot of Greek mythology symbolism, and it was a lot about AI handling a pandemic. So when I talked about it on the show, I talked about how it's science fiction. I'm doing quotes if you're just listening, because a lot of this doesn't seem very science fiction these days. It just seems futuristic, not necessarily sci-fi futuristic. So that one was really a like thought-provoking kind of one, because obviously we're coming off the heels of a pandemic. Knock on wood. And AI is a big issue right now, whether it's, your livelihood or just for fun or this or that. AI is big right now. And so is how would one handle a pandemic, and how should you handle a pandemic? So what would you do if AI decided they were going to handle the pandemic? So it was a very interesting read. I'm looking forward to the second one, because it did not finish in one. And obviously with AI, you can open Pandora's box, and that's literally what they did in this. So it's a lot of, I love when there's a lot of symbolism and a lot of layers to the story, and this is definitely one that has that. Again, they've only released the one issue, which was a longer one. It was I think 140 pages, something like that, so it was a graphic novel. But again, comics are always quick reads, so it's like, even if it's a longer one, it's a quick read and it's a great story.
Right.
And plus one, oh, sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, and plus one of the best things about it is a lot of those stories do come to print via Dark Horse. So a lot of them are making the translation to print. And that's something I think is just very cool for anybody that wants to still buy it in physical form and supports your comic shops. You can still go pick these stories up and have the physical copies as well too. So like I say, they're doing some really cool things. And like I say, with Scott's stuff too, I know Clear just came out on trade paperback. I know Neri is just now coming out in print form. And one of his other series is coming out too. Dudley Datsun, that's coming out very soon too. So a lot of cool stuff, but in print form too.
Yeah, 100%. Now I know, Lauren, you were about to dive into Image, so let's go ahead. Let's do it. We'll go into Image. What do you got, Lauren?
Image is always a hard one for me because it's one of my favorites. Like I always like Image.
I had to really dwindle this down because I know we have a couple. Like there's one of them that could have been both of ours.
Oh, the Schlub, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah. And Edenwood's one that's only 2 issues out, and I fell in love with that one right away. But the one that I'm going to pick because I've been reading it, I think they're on issue 14 or something now, but I think my comic guy said they took a little bit of a hiatus because of Edenwood, and that's Nocterra. And so Nocterra is Tomie Mori, Scott Snyder, and Tony Daniel. I have loved this comic from the beginning. It's an apocalypse comic, but it's different. So it's like there's no daylight. Everything's dark. And so it's like 10 years after the world is plunged into everlasting night that turns all living creatures into monstrous shades. I Googled that, obviously. But it's been a really neat apocalyptic story because it's different and there's some mystery to it. And you're seeing it mainly through the perspective of a young woman, which I love. And her main goal also is to protect her brother. So I love always that bond with somebody that's not romantic, that sibling that, but yeah, it kind of goes back to, a lot of people stopped watching Walking Dead when a certain someone died because,
it's true.
I don't know why I'm saying that like that. That didn't happen a million years ago. I would hate the idea of having to spoil something for somebody. So, but Nocterra, that's going to be my number one Image that came out this year, that has been running this year.
It is. It really is. Image, man, they are.
I mean, they gave me Invincible, so.
Image is probably like my favorite publisher. I'm dead serious because there is so much good happening. Like it was very hard to choose between Schlub, Enfield Gang Massacre, and
the
Kill Your
Cull.
Darlings and the Cull. But I went ahead and I chose a newer run that's only 4 issues deep, and it's called Kill Your Darlings. Griffin Sheridan, Ethan S. Parker, Robert Quinn, John J. Hill are all on this comic book. And for me, it's got everything that I just love. I love something about a fantasy adventure. So it's tormented though. So this girl named Rose, she had a tragic accident happen when she was a kid. She went to a mental institution, and Wallace, her imaginary friend, shows up, breaks her out, and we're off to like this imaginary land. However, it has taken a very dark turn, and it's just got everything I love. It's like an Alice in Wonderland almost, but very, very like dark tones and just dark. There was one issue kicked off with the eating of a baby, for example.
Oh no, see, I might be out right away.
It all like plays into the story. It's not just useless. It's like all this stuff plays into the story at large. And
does that happen on the pages or does it happen off the pages?
You don't see her. You just see her holding a baby, and then like it. Yeah. So it's very quick. One panel. I'll give you like a trigger warning, if you will. But the art in this story, especially issue 4, has absolutely floored me in a way that a comic book outside of one in particular, one from DC that we'll talk about, I'm sure, has done this year. And it's just insane the things that he is drawing, Robert Quinn, and it flows with the story. And it's just, by far, I cannot wait for more from this comic because it is probably up there in my top 3 comic books overall for the year. But without a doubt, my favorite Image comic book, it's Kill Your Darlings. Check that out. And if you want, my review is out on that because you'll just see me rave even more. But Ken, I'm interested to see. Image is a big one for a lot of us. What are you going with?
Yeah, it was tough. I am not going to lie. I was sitting there trying to put this together because there's a couple different ways I could go. Because obviously Ghost Machine is out on Image. And if you're not on board with Ghost Machine, get ready. Because, 2024 might be the year of Ghost Machine, early prediction. There's also so many other different studios that come out there. Obviously Skybound, and they're doing so many great things, whether it was Arcade Kings, the Energon universe, Dark Ride. Like, there's just so much going on there. But when I think Image, I think of one universe, and it is quite massive. So I have to go with the team over at Black Market Narrative, and they put out a series this year, and I love the concept, and it's one thing that they do, I'm going to say arguably better than everybody. They know how to connect to the fans directly, and they are very in touch with how things are done modernly. And one series that they have released, written by Kyle Higgins and Brian Buccellato, and art by one of my favorite artists, and he is absolutely killing it right now with Marvel's Thunderbolts, and that is Geraldo Borges.
Yes.
The series is No One. And
Who is No One?
Who is No One? And what they have done here is they have a companion podcast that goes along with the book.
Oh.
And it is the actual podcast that they refer to in the story. And it's voiced by Patton Oswalt and Rachel Lee Cook, amongst other actors that come in.
That's
so
what I
when you
haven't heard
read
in a
the
while.
issue, when you read the issue, you have to listen to the podcast. And podcast is short too. It's not like, hours long, but it ties directly into the story. And I think it's so brilliant to do that and connect with the fan base, because obviously, not because we're all in it, but with podcasts are such a norm thing now that, to have something that goes along with that companion, tells your story, you're really hitting a new market, and you're really making this feel like very new. It's very fresh. And the story is exceptionally well. And it's based around, who is the accountability killer, and how a vigilante is running through the streets of Pittsburgh, and you don't know who it is. And it really has just got so many parts that just weave in and out that everybody is a suspect. And now that we're getting near the end, because it's only 10 issues thus far, issue number 7, I believe, is coming out within the next 2 weeks. It's I don't have the exact date as we're recording. They're really tying up loose ends, and things are heating up, and you're just seeing that effect go on. And it's something that it feels different than the rest of the Massiverse, which no matter where you go, Massiverse, Rogue Sun, Dead Lucky, Inferno Girl Red, Radiant Black, like, it's all modern superhero storytelling. It's fantastic. But this is just a different style of crime vigilante that I think is just connecting on such a different level. I absolutely rave about this series. And yeah, this has been my pick for best comic from Image this year.
That's an awesome idea. So did they make it easy to go from book to podcast? Did they tell you, like, okay, now go listen to this one? Nice.
Yeah, because even if you don't, it is coming out
December 27th.
Yeah, so next week.
So it's out already.
Issue number 7. Yeah, issue number 7, yes. Will be out, yes, as we're recording. I got to remember. But yeah, no, so it'll be out, and yeah, everybody should just go download it. I mean, the podcast is very well done, and like I say, it ties into a little bit. So even if you don't listen to the podcast, you won't be thrown off. But if you do, it enhances the story that much more. That you're like, oh, okay. And just some of the voice acting they have done, that when you read these pages, you'll hear them as they talk, and it's just like, it's such a different vibe. But I love the creativity here, and it's something the Black Market Narrative does all the time. So I'm really excited to see what they have coming up. Obviously, it was a toss up, honestly, between this and what Radiant Black is going with the Catalyst War right now. And
I keep
that
hearing
is
about that one.
Well, the fact that, I mean, it's not really a spoiler now that you have 2 Radiant Blacks. They have their own series going, and eventually it's coming back together with what is going on too. And just issue 24 was one of the best issues of the year, and to see how it sets up for that. And then when they actually had a vote, like they did for keep Jason Todd alive or dead way back when.
There wasn't the 75 vote difference. Damn it.
No, it wasn't, but it was close though. I mean, I still say Matchell should happen, but I digress. But just the fact that they do that with your main character, like, who does that? But that's something that Kyle Higgins and the team do over there all the time. And like, I love just how they're connecting with fans like that. And, it's some of the best work. But like I say, no one, if you haven't read that, go check it out. I think it's just absolutely brilliant.
Solid. Tom, what's up?
Well, it's talking, staying right in that whole massive verse. Ken's already hinted on it. It's Inferno Girl Red. Our good buddy Matt has just written such an amazing book, and hopefully everybody got on the Kickstarter for the next series. Funny anecdote that I don't know if you guys were privy to when Ken originally. So because Matt did Power Rangers, Ken needed me to come on to help do the interview because I'm so well versed in Power Rangers. Duh. So I get on here and he sends me the preview copy, the review copy.
I shouldn't laugh as deeply as I am.
It's so good. It's such a good anecdote. It
works.
It works. So here I blaze, for lack of better words, through Inferno Girl Red, and I just tear right through it,
like a raging inferno.
It was seriously like white hot. And I keep going, and I get here, and I'm like, dude, I can't wait to talk about this and that and this and that and this and that. And Ken goes, dude, you're not supposed to read up to page 20. I read all 3 volumes well before release. And I'm going, shit,
my bad.
Well, I mean, we have to give some clarity though, because the book was out on Kickstarter, and this is when it came over to Image.
Yeah.
And they broke it into comic form in 3 parts. So at the time, we were talking about volume 1 because we didn't want to spoil anything for anybody. But Matt, who is one of the nicest creators we've met.
Oh my God.
We could speak on him for days. In fact, I will even give a plug. He wrote a short in the Marvel Zombies that just came out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which we definitely want to give a little plug to.
And also, don't forget his gorgeous issue that he did in the 30th anniversary special for Power Rangers.
Yes.
Oh my God. And if you weren't there, the Bishibashi machine. If you were there, you were there.
Yes. But but just to see
Bishibashi machine? What is
Bishibashi?
Bishibashi? That's a machine and it goes Bishibashi?
Like take most MXC from Spike.
And I love that show. Yeah.
And put it all together in an arcade. Bishibashi. You can't understand this damn thing. You just drink and play the game. Anyway.
No, but yeah, just the fact that he's had such a big year, and I love the fact his Kickstarter got greenlit like almost instantaneously. Inferno Go Red will be out next year, which I can't wait to pick that up.
Yeah, and I can't wait to read at a decent pace.
Yes.
Let's move into a bigger publisher now. Let's talk Marvel. All right. So for Marvel Comics, I'll just go ahead and start off with my favorite this year, honestly, has been Predator versus Wolverine. Two of my favorite characters. One of my all-time, it's not like my favorite movie of all time, but The Predator is like one of my I love crappy action movies, and I have such a deep, passionate love for the Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator film. And so to see Wolverine and Predator square off in this really good story by Ben Percy that he just it didn't make sense to me at first. I was like, obviously Wolverine's gonna just slaughter this guy. They stand no chance. It's Wolverine. But the way he's really cleverly gone about it, it's like, oh man, we're going through time periods and they're doing all sorts of things. And so
using his memory loss against him.
Yeah, the memory loss. And I'm honestly just all about this comic book. So for me, it was tough because I'm in love with the Darth Vader run as well. But I got to give it to Predator versus Wolverine. Lauren, I'm going to throw this one to you.
So mine's another Wolverine, Ben Percy, but it's just the overall Wolverine run. This run, I read issue 40 today, so it's been going on for a minute. But I got to meet Ben Percy at MegaCon last year, and I told him, I go, this is the Wolverine and Deadpool that I hope to see in the movie. Like the camaraderie together. And he's not in a bunch of the issues. He's only in a few issues. But I loved it so much. And I had him sign that issue and I have it framed and it makes me so happy every time I look at it. But I just, obviously I'm a sucker for Wolverine. That's why I have my Cigar City glass, not because I'm drinking a Cigar City glass, but because Wolverine loves his cigars. But lately, the issue that came out today was him and Spidey teaming up. And then recently he teamed up with T'Challa, and he brings in a little bit of everybody, but overall he's had this one friend, Jeff Bannister, throughout, and I love their relationship together so much. Because the thing I love about Wolverine is that he doesn't want to be a hero, but he can't help but. And so and I absolutely love him about that. And I think that Hugh Jackman played that fantastically well. And I cannot wait to see him back. I'm just going to cry the whole movie, probably.
In the yellow suit.
Oh my gosh. I cried when I saw that picture. I I have no self-control. Logan, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is what got me into comic books. It's what opened my eyes to this entire universe, because nobody handed me a comic book as a kid. So it was seeing Tobey Maguire on the big screen and falling in love with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine that I wanted to know more, and I wanted these backstories. And it's so funny now that we're talking about this on Nerd Initiative, because one of the first people I ever talked to in length about the X-Men movies was Mike. And Mike's the one that is the father of Nerd Initiative all those years ago.
Crazy.
To think now, I'm sitting here with, his website and writing these comic book reviews. So it's really come full circle. And so it's just been a great run. And obviously with these longer runs, there's so many various stories and there's ups and downs. But it's been a lot of fun. And I think Ben Percy just writes a great Wolverine.
Without a doubt. Let's throw it over to Tom. What you got from Marvel?
Nah, I want to go last on this one.
Okay,
I want to see what Ken's got.
Ken, what do you got then?
I'm fearing that Tom is going to say one story just to get me fired
up.
Nope.
Okay, good.
Nope.
Okay.
No, it's not an amazing idea.
Okay. We talked about that off air. You got the reaction out of me. No, for me, honestly, I have to agree with Lauren. Wolverine has been one of the best comics Marvel has done in quite some time. And I think it's because Ben Percy gets Logan. He understands how to write him. And this isn't a shot at anybody, but when you can really give him balance and really get something out of the character, because obviously Wolverine is kind of Batman with prep time. Nothing can kill him. He can just beat everybody. Doesn't matter who he's facing. He's got adamantium. He does what he does. Piercy writes him in such a manner that you can definitely see vulnerability in him. And you can see that not everything is just, the unstoppable killing machine. And I love how he does that. And I think that, what he's set up now going into the Sabretooth War, there's been some really cool things that you have to sit back and think. Wolverine's been around for how long? Obviously the most popular X-Men of all time. And to see somebody have this kind of take on him really is refreshing. And it's something I gravitate towards too as a reader. So, but then again, I also like a lot of the stuff they're doing with the X-Men line in general and the fall of Krakoa that I am all in about. And I can't wait to start seeing more unfold in the new year.
And don't forget that new original X-Men that just came out. Whatever they're setting up with that, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Trust me.
And meaning they just released a teaser too out concerning what's happening, because with Krakoa coming down, the X-Men are coming back in a big way. And I think just everything they've done there, but it really starts off with what they've done with Wolverine and even X-Force too. Like I say, I'll give a shout out to that series as well. There's just so much good that's happening on that line, in my opinion, that I think fans are going to really come back in a big way in 2024 with that.
And I've read a few of the Sabretooth ones that were connected too. And it was fun to see things through Sabretooth's perspective and him trashing Krakoa and how his story started in Krakoa, and he's, out for blood with Xavier. And now we're seeing his son was attacking him and all his multiversal people. So it'll be interesting to see how they bring all of that together.
Yeah. Real quick, it's a testament to to what Tom or Ken, what you were saying. He writes Wolverine in such a vulnerable way for somebody who's invincible. He gives him that vulnerability. And I think that's why I loved Predator versus Wolverine so much, because it makes him so vulnerable. And it's very hard to do that with a character that has been written to death almost, right? He's
literally written to death.
I mean, yeah, he's for lack of better words, he is like the Batman of Marvel, where they just he's their number one seller just about. They're always going to write him. There's always going to be a story active with Wolverine. And Ben Percy has found ways to just make it fresh with whatever he does. And you're right. It's not a knock to anybody else, but some people just understand and get the characters that they are working with. And Ben's by far one of them.
Yeah. Well, and in the latest issue of Predator vs. Wolverine, I love that they tied in the Weapon X stuff. I thought that was really cool, because it was an extra level of vulnerability, which I don't want to say anything more.
Yes.
Because I think it just came out last week, maybe today. I
believe so.
Yeah. So Tom, your controversial pick, or maybe not so controversial. What do you got?
You guys are like really, really on the big arc and heavy, and you forgot to realize the best comic from Marvel that came out all year, besides Spider-Boy or that particular one that we will not name. But it's Jeff.
Oh, Jeff the Shark.
Yeah, by Kelly Thompson. Yes.
Okay, now hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, year before last, so go back to 2022. I got my wife Marvel Meow. Okay, the book.
Okay, the was that the Pet Avengers or?
Well, it was about Goose going around visiting all the other characters in the MCU, good guys and bad guys. Now she was just having a good day, and then we start getting Jeff the Land Shark shows up. What I'm looking forward to is that this is a nice way to get people into reading comic books. My wife is like, I don't know what this cute thing is, but I want it. She wants me to find a plush for it. On top of that, we now know that with everything going on, especially with what we saw in the MCU, we've got Alligator Loki, we've got all the Flurkin babies. And with Jeff, next year, we have Infinity Paws.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Forgot about that.
Goodness.
So again, it's a nice way to get some characters, to get new characters in, to bring people into the franchise, to bring them into the fold, and use that as that nice little crowbar. Oh, it's like, oh, good, look, it's cute, it's Jeff. Hulk smash. Shit.
That is a good one.
Like little shirt.
Oh, but like I didn't even think about that. It was just clever, and it was a cute little comic I picked up as a one-off thing. But obviously, there's been a solid run, and Kelly Thompson has been writing him, and I didn't even think about that because my kids have loved Jeff. I've picked up those comic books for my kids. It's a gateway drug, if you will. So that's man, that's good. That's good. That came out of left field. You're right. We were thinking big picture, and you were.
I would have rather read that than all the My Little Pony ones I read this year. Ugh. I mean, they do a great job. I'm not gonna lie. The My Little Pony aren't the worst, but they're just not for me.
Yeah. Are there any particular Rainbow Dash issues?
Yeah, I think there are. Fortunately, though,
do they make you 20% cooler?
Probably. I don't know.
I just made
my son he went quick from loving My Little Pony to hating it, and I don't know if it's. He then told me he doesn't want anyone at school to know he likes How to Train Your Dragon, so I don't know if he mentioned My Little Pony and somebody was like, "That's for girls."
That sucks.
But it's funny because when we clean out his room, I'm like, do you still like? He doesn't want to get rid of all the My Little Ponies because he's like, they have horns and they can fly and they're really cool, and yeah.
Solid. Let's roll into.
Is this a My Little Pony tattoo? Oh, it's a How to Train Your Dragon. Oh
man, I didn't even see Tom getting undressed on the camera for a second.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah,
he's taking off. He's walking out.
How to Train Your
I was
Dragon.
like, where's he going?
No. I love How to Train Your Dragon. So trust me, you're no. There's grown.
Well, lately he's been watching Spidey and Friends, so we started a Spider-Man comic book together. But I mean, his name's Logan. Eventually, he's got it.
My kid's name is Oliver.
He embraces his name a little bit, but.
Yeah. Let's roll into, before we get to, DC, let's roll into IDW Publishing. And I had a bit of a tough one with this one because they've done a lot of really cool things. But I think my favorite run was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Stranger Things. It was, seeing the Turtles in New York in action, and then they're fighting Demogorgons and teaming up with these kids. But they also did something with like 11 that Stranger Things kind of hasn't done in a while. And it was actually make her a character again. Because the big trope for Stranger Things is 11 gets shelved in some sort of way and she loses her power, and it just kind of has gotten old for me in a way, even though I like the show. But they really just gave something for everybody to do, and it was like this mashup that I did not know I needed until I got it. And it's a very short run. I think it's like 5 issues, 6 issues maybe. But it was really solid. The artwork was beautiful. The way that they blended into like the reds and the yellows with their darks and light colors, and the upside down was drawn really well. And honestly, though, it was one of those crossovers. Obviously, it was IDW and Dark Horse. They kind of collabed because one is owned by the other. And so for me, that was my IDW for the year was that crossover event, because I love a good crossover, and I freaking love the Ninja Turtles, man, so much.
Turtles Rangers crossover was better.
It's hard to argue against that. It is hard to argue against that. And then also they're doing like a bunch of different Godzilla runs, and another thing that I love so much is Godzilla. So it was really hard to just kind of like narrow this down. But I went with that one. So we'll go into Tom then, since Tom has some thoughts on IDW. What do you got for your IDW pick?
Oh, it's a Last Ronin, Lost Years.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, solid.
To see where Mikey gets to, so we can have a better understanding, it was there. It was right. We knew where we were going. So to see how do we get there, was just like, Mike.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that.
Yeah. But yeah, if we want to talk more IDW, it's thanks IDW for letting Boom play in the Power Ranger sandbox.
Yes. Ken, what do you got?
Well, I was going to say the TMNT Power Rangers crossover was up there for me. IDW does a lot of great stuff. I have an idea what Lauren's pick is, and I will echo that one. But yeah, I was going to say I definitely think that series is great. But there's one that flew under my radar, and I'm catching up on it now, and it's Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees.
Ooh, I've heard you mention that on Turn a Page, I think.
Yeah. So it's a very, very different story. And if you haven't picked it up, it's a sleeper book for me. Like I say, when I'm talking to other comic fans about it too, it's one that throws you off because it looks like a very sweet, innocent book, and it is anything but. So I definitely am catching up on it. I don't want to spoil anything about this series, but it's one that caught me off guard. I know that Tony, Mr. Marvelite over at Nerd Initiative, this is like one of his favorites. And like we've kind of talked a little bit about it too. And like I say, it's a very different concept. It's very cool though. And I definitely am playing catch up. And it's one that I'm seeing on a lot of best of lists, and rightfully so. I definitely have to agree with that.
Matt, you're muted.
Lauren, what is yours then?
Mine is The Hunger in the Dusk by G. Willow Wilson. That is one when Ken first asked me, like, hey, do you want to review this one? I looked at the cover and I was like, ugh, this does not look like something I'm going to like. I'm going to give it a chance. Because if you've been listening to this podcast, you know I don't like Lord of the Rings. I'm not into like elves or orcs or anything like that. And a few pages in and I fell in love with this comic. I absolutely loved it. And I'm loving what they're doing because it's such like enemy of my enemy is my enemy, so I'm going to befriend the enemy. But it's so much more because some of these characters are so rich and good, and like every time you think like, oh, here comes the trope of the assumption was made and da 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 da, and that doesn't happen, and then at the same time they'll have a twist that I don't see coming. So I genuinely am loving the characters, because the one thing that I absolutely hate is unnecessary drama in any story, whether it's a comic, a TV show, a movie, the whole like, oh, it isn't what you think it is, and it's not what you think it is, and then they do a whole storyline on that. I mean, a lot of the Arrowverse I felt like turned into some of that, and that's why a lot of us kind of were like, okay, we're out. Not that I didn't love the Arrowverse and everything that it brought us, but this comic has just been great from beginning to end. Well, it's still going. It's only, I don't even know how many issues it's in. Probably 4 or 5, probably 4 issues in. Okay, 4 issues in. Again, that's The Hunger in the Dusk. It's about humans, and these orcs basically are teaming up to fight these bad guys called the Vangal. And at the same time, though, their planet is dying. So it's like, do we continue to stick together and fight these evil people? Or do we just look out for our own because we know that the world is dying and we have to get all the resources we can? So it's, you don't know what's going to go on. And one of the things I love the most about it, though, is the discrimination the humans and the orcs have been raised with. And they don't fully know why. The younger generation doesn't know why. Meanwhile, the older generation is the ones that instilled that in them. So it's, I feel like, very symbolic for today, or for any generation, honestly. How often generations are taught to hate. And that's what these younger generations of humans and orcs were taught, but they're hanging out. They're fighting the bad guy together. They're trusting each other. And I'm loving it. I can't say enough good things about it.
It's fair. I haven't read that one yet, but I see you get them. And so it's on my list.
And I know you've heard me rave about it too.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It's one that I would obviously love. I just haven't read it yet for some reason. So that's
only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
It kind of flew under the radar, but this one was one that I caught wind of word of mouth. And I was hearing a lot of fellow fans like, you really need to read this. And I picked it up. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah, I mean, I think now it's catching on a lot. Fans are really getting into it, and rightfully so. Like, I think this is going to be a big series going into 2024.
Well, let's get to DC. Let's do it. Lauren, I have a feeling I know what yours is, so we're just going to go ahead. She's read maybe 2 DC books all year. So
I read
what do you have?
Graduation Day. It's City of Madness.
Of course it is. Yeah.
With Christian Ward.
I knew that, and so that one would also be mine. However, since you've picked it, I don't want to both do it because it is hands down, like, it's beautiful. It's
I read 2 today. It's still going strong.
We talked about people who understand the characters they write, and Christian just gets the entire world of Batman and Gotham and how Gotham is his own entity, and he just playing with Harvey Dent in a way that I've never seen somebody really write Harvey Dent before, and Batman and Alfred and their dynamic, and yet the whole Bat family. And it's just, if you want to listen to us rave about especially issue 1, we did do Turn a Page, but if you want to hear a little bit more, we talked with Christian as well, back in September, or no, it came out in October, right when the issue was coming out. And man, that would be mine. However, since Lauren picked it, I'm gonna go with Night Terrors. It was a really fun crossover event that pitted like people like the Flash. I'm all for like random Justice League or DC characters getting together. So when I can get Cliff from Doom Patrol teaming up with Zatanna of all people, or the Flash playing in this world that's like with Zatanna, because it's all characters you don't see together like hardly ever. It was very
so. In the comic, does he say "what the fuck" the whole time too? Or is that just
if I remember correctly, he says it once or twice.
Okay, I feel like that's his
yes,
catchphrase.
I think he does.
Yeah, okay. It's been a while since I've read the thing because it wrapped.
I didn't know if that was
August.
Brendan Fraser's catchphrase or Cliff's.
Yeah, no, it was.
It's now become his.
Yes,
one becomes the other.
You know, it's some people are just written, and it's sad to see Doom Patrol has come to an end TV wise because Brendan Fraser played it so well. But yeah, mine would be Night Terrors because the art was fantastic. Again, I love a horror element, and there's a lot of horror mixed into playing with nightmares of these characters we love, and everybody kind of had their time to shine. So for me, it was Night Terrors. Let's throw it to Ken. What was your DC of the year?
Let me defer to Tom just because I want to make sure I don't steal his pick.
There we go.
Okay. I'd be green with envy if you did.
Fair enough.
Is it Green Lantern?
So it is specifically Tim Sheridan's run of Green Lantern right now.
Scott
is just killing it. He is writing an amazing book, and the fact that with all the backlash that with Alan Scott has gotten over the years, Tim Sheridan is actually taking all the proceeds that he makes and is going to give it to the LGBTQ community.
Hell yeah!
So right there, just on principle alone, I had to go out and buy it. And then, okay, I got it. It's sitting in my box. I'm like, oh, I'll read it. Oh my God, this is great. Like it's fantastic. And the variant covers are great. I know issue 2 for fun. I got the, cause you guys all know, I love collecting figures.
Yeah.
So I got the Alan Scott Green Lantern action figure cover.
It is one of the best series DC is doing.
Yeah.
Hands down. And if anybody is not picking this up, you really need to. They are doing some fantastic stuff there. And like Tom alluded to, the royalties are all going to Elton John's AIDS charity.
Yep.
So it's a very cool thing that Tim's doing. And the story is just, it's dope. It's amazing. I have been hooked on the series since I picked it up. And it's cool. Like I could just rave about it all day, but it's definitely one I think fans need to go check out. Like it's amazing.
And considering 1000%. That it came out October?
Yes.
And it's already just going on. trying to think, how many prints is it on already? I mean, we've got the War Journal. It might be on 2 or 3 now.
It's going on issue 3.
But I mean, printings of
printings.
Of
printings. I think
that's a great question. I know it's at least in second print, if not third.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some research.
All right, so Tom's going to look that up.
Well, while he does research, Ken, what do you got then?
Oh, for me, man. See, this is tough. This one was up there with Image for me because I have read a lot of DC this year, and I am very thankful for that opportunity. And it doesn't matter where you go. It's like they have just so many hits right now. Man, so I thought it would just come to me, but no, I mean,
Jeff the Land Shark.
No, well, Jeff is a great series too. I guess like I'll do it in my top 5 order because I know I'm gonna like hear this later. I'm gonna hate myself because I forgot something. Number 5, Birds of Prey.
Ooh,
Kelly Thompson has put together this amazing lineup, and being an old school Wildstorm Image Comics reader from the 90s, I marked out when I saw Zealot was on this lineup and how Kelly is writing her on this story. It's amazing. The story is big, fun action, and it's crazy. It's always a great read. I have thoroughly enjoyed it thus far. I love the dynamic of this team, and I think that how Kelly has really written Harley Quinn has been great too. Also, I will give a shout out to Ryan Parrott. Also did Harley Quinn, Black, White, and Redder.
Yes, he did. Yes.
And the story he did there is one of the best Harley Quinn stories of all this year. So definitely want to plug that issue. I believe it's issue number 3. That one is a great pickup. But how Kelly and the team there has done this series it's fun. And if you haven't checked it out, you really need to. Number 4, Alan Scott, the Green Lantern, like Tom alluded to, it's in like top 5 of the year. Like it's amazing. Number 3 is going to be Batman and Robin by Joshua Williamson and Simone DiMeo. This series is just fun, and especially like in comparison to the amazing work that Jorge Jimenez and Chip Zdarsky are doing on the main Batman title. Like this gets just big action. It balances out the father-son dynamic because it is very strained right now because of reasons. But where they're going with the story, like it's always just eye-catching. The plot is very cool. It's got some really interesting twists going on with this, and like I say, I could rave about this all day. Like it's 4 issues in, definitely worth picking up if you haven't checked it out. And then also Joshua Williamson, Superman right now.
Oh yeah,
might be one of my favorite Superman runs of all time. Him and Jamal Campbell, and I know they've had a slew of artists in. Currently, right now, Bruno Redondo from Nightwing is doing a couple issues, and that story is just insane. Joshua Williamson is just crushing it right now there, so definitely want to plug that out. And I can't say enough good things about this series. So I mean, if I have to choose a number 1 right now, it's arguably the best superhero book at the market. Batman Superman World's Finest. Mark Waid, Dan Mora.
Oh, okay.
Like you can't get better storytelling right now than what they're doing there, and just the stories they've done. Even when Dan stepped out, and I'm hating myself because I can't remember who the fill-in artist was. It still had this cool vibe because they did the retro throwback to when Batman and Superman first met. And even just with the crazy stories that have been coming out with Mark Waid, and even now to come back, and they're going to Kingdom Come. And that storyline, which I'm sorry, like if you talk to old school comic fans, like that's sacred territory.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
you don't tamper with Kingdom Come, even though Mark wrote it. So if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be him. But the fact they're going there, they're doing a really interesting story. And if anything, when you pick this up, you're going to want to go back and read Kingdom Come, which is one of the best comics of all time, to put it mildly. Like
Alex Ross.
yeah, exactly. Like I say, it's amazing stuff. So if you haven't checked out, I mean, Batman, Superman, World's Finest, the run they're on right now, like it's my fight forever. I hope it never goes away. I hope they do this book for like 500 issues. But that's just me being a greedy fan. So if you haven't checked it out, go get this.
Nice. And now I do want to ask before we go ahead and wrap up the comic portion of 2023, are there any comics that we missed or from any studio that you want a special shout out this year that's really stood out to you guys? Because I've got a couple that are in my mind, such as Mad Cave Studios, Devil Wears My Face by David Pepose, friend of both Nerd Initiative and Hops Geek News. He has absolutely been slaying it there. And then I also want to shout out Alan Dunford and team with Grandma Chainsaw, which may be like my favorite Kickstarter of the year, was just unbelievably hilarious to read. I'm so glad I got to read that.
That was on my list.
Those are two big ones for me. So I'm interested to hear what ones have we missed that you want to especially talk about and shout out.
I will defer. I'll go last on this one.
Again, I have to agree. It's because of everything I've read for Nerd Initiative, for Turn a Page, everything that has come across my, screen or hands, particularly Grandma Chainsaw, Devil Wears My Face. They are phenomenal books, and I cannot wait to see where they go. Especially Grandma Chainsaw. Like that left me going,
yes,
more, please.
Yeah.
Don't worry, kids. I do all my own sounds.
They're from like two different writers who really understand like the horror elements that they're playing with. Like David is out here playing in almost like a oh man,
Dan Brown-esque horror. He's take Dan Brown and just twist the head of it.
And it's very cat and mouse, and it's a classic cool twist on the exorcism bit, while Alan is playing with all of the old school horror films we grew up watching, the slashers, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, things like that. And
but there, it has so much gore, but it also has enough camp in it as well. You could get away with it to be a Saturday afternoon special.
It's very much like Evil Dead, where there's
he old enough to remember those?
Gore.
You might be.
Probably not.
Maybe, guys. Jeez. I'm 33. I got,
He knows a lot of things I don't expect him to know, though.
I'm cultured. All right. I'm a
He's
man
an
of
old
culture.
soul.
I am. You know what? These knees. They tell you all they need to know. Old man knees. But yeah, no, those are my
I like
two
when
favorites.
we have people on the show that are my age.
Well, Lauren, speaking of,
they're both giving a thumbs up.
Elder millennials.
Yes.
Why don't you give us, Lauren, anything that we've missed that you want to touch upon?
I mean, a lot of the comics I've loved throughout the year, I know that our listeners have listened to. I've loved the Vader run this year. Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, I've been very much so enjoying their Guardians of the Galaxy run.
Yes.
I only started their Cold War run. I didn't realize I only had some of the issues and not all the issues, and that has been a project to find all of the issues because they're weaved in and out of other comic series.
Check out their Batman Beyond Neo-Gothic series that's ongoing with DC. That's been a pleasant surprise as well. Like
anything with both their names on it is gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah. They're known big time for Star Trek right now too. So shout out to them over there for I'm not a Star Trek fan personally, but
I'm not either, but I heard it's really good.
Yeah, it's one that a lot of people are raving about. It's up for different awards and things like that. So check that out.
We did mention the call. Click Click Boom's another one I want to mention. But the one I really want to give a shout out to that I don't know that this falls under any specific category we've talked about tonight is Josh Trujillo's Washington's Gate General, The Legends and Loves of Baron von Steuben. I absolutely loved that comic. It's a hardback comic and it's historical. It's comic book art. It's illustrated by Levi Hastings. And they did so much research into this. And this is factual. This is not fiction by any means, but but some of it they had to make assumptions on, and they tell you when they're making assumptions on it. So they're not trying to fake any history or anything. Like, they did their homework. It is enjoyable, it's educational, and it's funny. So I loved when we had Josh Trujillo on. We talked Blue Beetle Graduation Day, and we talked Washington's Gay General. And when I got that book and I read it cover to cover in one sit down, and it was fantastic. And my daughter's a history major, and I was like, you need to read this. She hadn't even heard of Baron von Steuben. I was like, have you heard this guy? And she's like, no. I'm like, you should read this.
He's amazing. Yeah.
I love that
one.
To
Josh really and Levi on that one, because that was one that I loved too. He talked to us and he sent it. He was nice enough to send it, and we got to read it. And
I bought it still. I wanted that hardcover.
Yeah, I'm a history nerd, and for me, and obviously the whole military aspect too, there's a lot of stuff I didn't even know, and I was just like, dang. And it was beautiful. It was very
interesting. Just like how he became so powerful and like didn't even speak the language of the people around
He's
him.
also
and how
broke
he
the
got
whole
to the
time. It was
States.
weird. Like, yeah,
it was so interesting.
it was. Fake it till you make it. That's one of a very true story of fake it till you make it, because he did. But yeah, Ken, last but not least.
Okay, so I think we covered most of like the Image brands, but definitely Ghost Machine came out with Geiger Ground Zero. That's a great introduction to where things are heading to after the big one shot is coming out in January. Skybound, like I said, Transformers #1 has been like Daniel Warren Johnson and what he's doing there with that run.
Bumblebee's still dead.
Yeah, Bumblebee's still dead. He's not coming back, folks. Has really re-energized the Transformers universe, if I can say that. And it's just been fun. It's just been like every time you're seeing just like the layers get peeled back on what they're doing with them and G.I. Joe and with Duke and Cobra Commander series coming, like they're doing just so many great things over at Skybound, so can't plug them enough. And one imprint that I think everybody's going to get very, very familiar with next year, and they made a big splash this year.
Power Rangers?
Nope. Distillery.
Oh yeah, Distillery, dude. Distillery and Ghost Machine are like the two that I am so excited for the year 2024, because Distillery has already kicked off an announcement with Christian Ward and James Tinian. They're doing a comic book together, dropping in April, and it's already in my like early runnings for comic of 2024 just by the names alone. Yeah, dude, those are massive.
Well, if you picked up the Devil's Cut, which was their introduction to what they're doing, and it's 11 short stories, the series that you're seeing now is spinning out of that. So I've read a little bit about what Tynan and Christian Ward have come in. That's an amazing one. What Scott Snyder and Francesco Francavilla have come in is, if you love Night of the Ghoul, just wait for what they have in store. And with all the amazing creators that they have at Distillery too. I mean, it's a murderer's row of just, legendary creators. I know they're adding more personnel are joining. I know there's a press release that just came out as we're recording. I got caught up on just what they have lined up for next year alone with the ongoing series that were just announced, like you touched upon with Spectrograph and White Boat. And then with Gone too from Jock that came out this year.
Yes.
Somna, which is Becky Cloonan and Tula Lotay, just the story there and the artwork. Like they have just so many great things coming on too. And I know they're just testing out their digital reader as well. So if you haven't checked it out, like this is the time to go track them down, go get it. The Devil's Cut, you're going to get an introduction of like just how really open the creators are taking the creativity and just the directions. Or like Distillery is going to make a big, has already made a big splash in 2023. 2024 is going to be even bigger.
Can I quote Kevin Smith? What a time to be alive.
Exactly. Like,
I was muted. Honestly, I want to say always. You can always quote Kevin Smith. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, but it's true though. Like, what a time to be alive in comics right now, that we've now just gone through so many great series, and no matter like what you're a fandom of, you have something there, and it's something that you can really see the growth in for next year already, and just like the directions we're all heading in to is just like the stories that are coming out, the projects we know just right now, and let alone when we start getting into later in the year. Like 2024 is going to be a monster year, and like I'm so excited to go check it out as a fan.
Well, let's think beyond that. What are we doing for episode 300?
Hopefully we're drinking out of that bottle that Distillery has that has like their name branded on it. Like that's what really
we're gonna be live at San Diego Comic-Con.
That's what I'm saying. I think we just need to have like a fearsome foursome live somewhere,
like a massive New York City Comic-Con, maybe something.
I mean, I put out in the world that, maybe just maybe we have to do a live turn a page at New York Comic-Con.
I think that's what needs to happen in the year 2024.
I mean, Hall H big, right?
Well, I mean, I'm saying like we'll definitely make something happen. Well, yeah, I mean, if we're going to do it, I mean,
Empire Stage, whatever.
Yeah, I was saying
I've never had so much FOMO for a con than when you guys were in New York this past year.
Yes.
Yeah, this year's New York Comic Con was just out of control. It was amazing.
My liver still hurts.
Yeah, Tom's still recovering from it.
I'll bring the
Here's
electrolytes.
The year 2024, we're going to manifest it right here, right now. We are going to figure out a way to make that happen. A live turn a page episode at NYCC.
Yeah, I think we have to do it. Like, we'll figure a way to do it. I mean, you never know. I mean, we might be able to make something happen. I have like an idea in the works. I don't want to reveal just in case it doesn't work, but I have an idea already to do something. But we have to get clearance. Yeah,
we'll get it. Well, guys, I just want to say thank you for hopping on for our comics of 2023. Pretty much.
He said hop because hops.
Get it? Go ahead and let us know where people can find you one last time.
You can find me everywhere on the social medias. That's right. More than likely, Matt doing his due diligence is going to put me right there in those liner notes. So you can click the link, do the thing. But more importantly, you can see me hanging out with these wonderful, fine people that I've had the opportunity to talk to tonight. 8 p.m. Tuesday nights. Turn a page, Nerd Initiative.
And for me and everything going on with the ODPH, it's simply odphpodcast.com. We'll get you anything and everything that is the ODPH. And also nerdinitiative.com, where you'll find more content coming in 2024 at the home of pop culture positivity, because there's a lot of stuff in the works that I am not allowed to talk about. I know. I almost slipped off and said, I know.
Zip it.
I know.
Is he gonna pull a Tom Holland?
I almost
sniper
did.
Is that a sniper dot? Oh, I see it.
It almost happened. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get the cease and desist from Michael and Tony like any minute now. But we have some stuff in the works, and like I say, we're manifesting for New York at least for Turn a Page. So we'll see what happens, folks. But that's what I say. If you want to find out what's going on there, obviously make sure you have your dial set. We're on the Nerd Initiative social networks to Tuesdays, Wednesdays, every day of the week.
Hey, what's that other show you do?
Oh, Wrestling Night Live.
Here's your Tim Stanley cameo. Our friend Tim loves that show, or loves wrestling.
Oh, thank you very much. Tim should join in the chat every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rich from the 3FN podcast and myself talk everything and anything pro wrestling. It's always a fun chat. We call it right down the middle and give you all those takes you need. And yeah, we're doing a lot of content, folks, and you definitely want to make sure you're not missing any minute of it.
Jump in from the top rope.
Mm-hmm. And thank you both for letting us come on here and chat with you all about some comics. We absolutely love doing it.
Congrats from us to you guys.
Yes, for 200 and 200 more.
There was nobody better. When we were thinking of 200th, we had to go big, and so of course we had to bring you guys in. So thank you guys for hanging out. Yes, everything that you just heard, it's in the show notes, man. Go in there. Like if you couldn't keep up with your ears, don't worry. I put it down for your eyes. So make sure you're following all those things, and then stay tuned for part 2 of our 200th episode, where Lauren and I are going to go into top 5 shows and movies of 2023, as well as, just a big thank you to all the guests. And we have a laundry list of guests that we'll get to. So stay tuned.
Once a Ranger.
Cheers.